It was noontime today in the center of Beijing when a man walked to the middle of the Avenue of Eternal
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. And today, the world can be an ugly place and it can be a little bit scary. And I just wanted to remind everybody there's a couple of great things in America. There's a lot of freedoms, and it's not really just America. It's a great time to be alive, Kevin. You don't even realize. We have alcohol, tobacco, firearms, pretty much all kinds of awesome things. We're kind of go through kind of why it's a great time to be right now. Now, I know there's a lot of scary things and there is a lot of freedoms going away. But with access and information and the way the world is right now, we have a lot of great opportunity. And that's awesome. There is a lot of great things out there for us to enjoy.
It's a good time to, when you watch the news, it's all bad. You know what I
Kevin,
mean?
be positive.
It's a
All right.
good time to, think about all the other stuff that's going well.
It is easy to get negative. I always feel like around Thanksgiving and 4th of July, I'm always like, but there's good things. Good things. America, you can go
Mhm,
out in the street and wave a flag. I don't know what flag you want to wave, but you can go wave it.
mhm.
And, may or may not work out. I guess it depends what town you live in. But
Well, I mean, in America, you can wave whatever flag you want.
yeah, well, I mean, whether there's repercussions from people or whatever, that weighs down. But anyway, a lot of awesome things going on, and I kind of wanted to talk about some of the great opportunities we have because, like Kevin said, it's easy to get disgruntled. I went into the office at work the other day, last night actually, and the guy sat down next to me. Tell me one good thing that the president has done, and just like started unloading on me. Like I'm like, what? Where? I'm just sitting here, like I came in for coffee or whatever, and
Uh-huh, and
and
you're
it
in trouble.
like, oh, we're on the attack. And I just thought, we need to go a different way. We need to kind of focus on the positive, and there's a lot of awesome things out there. So it's nice to be able to celebrate the awesome times and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of things that we could be celebrating and appreciating. And we don't have to be all negative, we don't have to go down that road. So I think the first thing that comes to mind is the freedom factor. That's what I like to call it, is pretty high right now. We have things like firearm suppressors, right? We just got rid of that $200 tax stamp. That's kind of something. You still have
Mhm,
to go through the crappy like paperwork, but $200 is $200, right?
right, right.
I
And
had
it's nice to be able to fight for freedom quietly,
yeah,
you
there
know?
you go, a whisper, Kevin. That's how they are, like in the movies with the little,
Mhm,
pew pew, like
right.
that. Like it's not like, oh crap, did you just fire a gun in here? It's not like
Yeah.
that anymore. So now we're pew pew. That's the how it works. So that's pretty awesome. Concealed carry is growing in a lot of states. As far as being open. It's funny. My state is actually keeps talking about it and it keeps going to the governor about concealed carry and having to go away with the permit. Right now, where I live in North Carolina, you need a permit, but it's pretty easy to get. You don't have to justify yourself. Like in New York, you had to go before a judge and tell them why you
Right.
needed it, and all this nonsense. So we're pretty good, but they do. You have to renew it every 5 years, and you have to go do the background check again, and you have to do the fingerprinting. And to me, that's kind of BS. Like, really, like anything changed? You have my driver's license. You know who I am. Do you think
Mhm.
my fingerprints changed since the last time? And the thing is, you're issuing the concealed carry to the guy that's there, right? And if somebody else gets it, all of a sudden I'm not me anymore. Well, then
Mhm.
that card isn't really issued to me, right? Like it doesn't even make sense. I don't know how to change it. But anyway, it's kind of in a way a positive thing though that we have the concealed carry card because other states only recognize people who have concealed carry cards instead of, like if you're allowed to conceal carry in your state, then you can the other. Whereas if everybody could just carry without a card, then I might not have that transferability. So how I
Mhm.
would phrase that. Anyway, so there's also awesome things like 3D printing, solar power. We can live off grid and not even really have to go to town as far as solar power, wind power.
Mhm.
Technology is pretty cool. Community connection, right? Like we have podcasts. We have this that, you can hear all the awesome stories while you're driving to work. You can appreciate this kind of freedom.
Right, right. And one of the things that's interesting about podcasts is it's still the Wild West. You know,
It is.
we could say whatever we want. Like any crazy opinion that I have, I can just put out there and, share it with all sorts of people that don't know me and I don't know. But if they want to listen, I can say all sorts of crazy Kanye West nonsense or
Right.
Epstein this and you know, anything I want to say. Nobody can regulate it. Nobody can say what I can and can't say.
Exactly. No, I mean, anybody who's heard Kevin realizes there's kind of a, unlimited amount of just say whatever comes to mind. Like,
Mhm.
they used to say to me, if you have a thought, maybe you should just let it go. But Kevin, just
Not me.
there it
No, no
is.
filter.
No filters. And that's pretty awesome. I mean, I got to say that's a cool thing that you can go out and just express your mind. People are somehow making money off the internet, just going out and being a person of inspiration. And I got to say, AI is doing a lot of stuff out there that is taking the burden off other people having to do it, I guess. So that is kind of cool. Um,
That's a good way to say people are losing their jobs to AI.
Yeah, you see how I reframed it in a
Uh-huh.
happy way? You know,
You don't have to work anymore.
you don't have to work anymore, or you can't work. It's a fine line. There's a delicate balance, Kevin.
Mhm.
All right. So, moving any more you want to hit that are freedom specific? I mean, everything that's awesome is really about more freedom. Like, I mean, we could talk about like whiskey and distilleries,
Yeah, well,
right?
let's get into that. But first, one more thing about freedom. I
Yeah.
think that is very important. The United States was the first country to introduce religious freedom versus religious tolerance. You know what I mean? A lot of people came to this country initially because they had crazy religious views. The
Yeah.
Puritans, that was wild. That was crazy stuff. Um, we were very anti-Catholic in this country for a long
Yes.
time, but that seems like it's dissipated. Um, when the United States was first forming its government, a group of Jewish residents in New England wrote a letter to George Washington saying, in this new country, will like Jewish people
Even
be
the
able to
Jews,
like,
Kevin. Even
yeah?
the
And
Jews.
he said like I forget the exact wording, but he definitely wrote back and was like, absolutely, like Jewish people are some of the most esteemed people historically, and of course they're going to be welcome here.
Nice.
Um, you know, Thomas Jefferson went on long tirades about the benefits of Islam,
Yes,
all sorts of all
he had
sorts of
all
religious
kinds of
freedom.
concerns with the Barbary pirate thing, and
Right.
like because there were things going on, and he's like, "Do we even give it to them? Do we give freedom to the Islamic people? Could we?"
Hmm.
And they were like, "You know what? Let's just do it. Everybody, freedom.
Everybody.
You
Hmm.
do you, America."
Whatever you want to believe in, that's your God-given right to do, and you can be right or wrong, doesn't matter. You just do what you want to do. And I think a lot of that leads to a lot of the early American innovation in the sense that people were doing different things in different ways, you
Uh-huh.
know? You interact with people of different cultures that are your next door neighbor, you
Right.
know? Completely different culture living right next door. And you take the good stuff from them, they take the good stuff from you. That's why America has the best food in the world. You know what I mean?
I
Go to
gotta
Italy,
say,
you'll get some great Italian food, you know?
but
Go to France,
anything
you'll get
else?
great French food.
Yeah.
Go to England and you'll maybe get some decent French food, but Not,
Kevin, let's
but
not.
the United States has I would say the best food in the world. And I've gone to a lot of different countries, and I've eaten a lot of different food in a lot of different places.
We are kind of
And
world travelers.
yeah, the United States has the best food, the best recipes, the best restaurants in the entire world.
And I mean, like, even think of it like that. Somebody who has little or no opportunity in life or feels that way can join the Navy and go see the freaking world. Dude, that's
Hmm.
awesome. You got
And
to
get a
put up
free education
you
in
could
in the
a free
military and after the military.
you can argue that, I have a sought after skill. And I got to say, if I had taken advantage of full opportunities by giving the military 6 years, I could have gone out and walked into, a job that pays over 100,000 a year and gives you great opportunity and cool things had I taken all the opportunities given to me.
Hmm.
Um, they took me to all kinds of countries. I think I've been to like 15 countries, and I bet you that at least five of them were on people's wanna go visit list. There's possibly some out there that you might not want to go visit, but hey,
Hmm.
freedom, America. Um, yeah, I don't know. America's got some pretty awesome things. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So let's check back on my list here.
All
I
right.
got, dude, all right. So, well, one, I didn't want to skip over too quick. Dude, you have craft beers everywhere. Now, a lot of them aren't really my cup of tea, but they're still pretty freaking awesome, right?
Yeah, I look a good IPA, but a lot of people think it's too bitter for them. They don't
It,
enjoy it. That's
it's
fine.
a little
That's fine.
delicate, Kevin,
Yeah.
but
So
there's great beer out there.
yeah, let's talk about why. Um,
Why is there great beer?
in the United States, we did an episode on Johnny Appleseed
We
a
did.
year or so ago, a little while back, and one of the big things that he did was planting all sorts of apple trees. When you plant an apple seed, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the type of tree that's going to grow. It depends on what's pollinating it, and 9 times out of 10, it's just some terrible bitter apple that's not good for anything except making apple cider, making alcoholic apple drinks. That's the only thing it's good for. Not worth eating, not worth baking. And there was a big push in the 1920s, 1930s to eradicate these apple trees because people were getting drunk off it. You know what I mean? There's no
Evil,
use
Kevin.
for these
Evil.
apple trees except to get drunk. And say they just destroyed all these apple trees. And that's when people started brewing beer in the United States because there was less access to these crappy apples.
See?
So
Kevin,
that's
what
what
we
made the
do
big
is
push.
you close the door, we're going to step up our game
That's
and just
right.
keep moving. We're going to
Uh-huh.
raise the bar
Keep
higher.
innovating.
Yep, that's it. It's all about innovation. You just got to keep moving forward. And that's what's awesome. And that's the thing. I got to say, the stuff with whiskey and that kind of stuff. Now, you can argue that there is a slim chance that our water isn't quite as clean anymore in America as it used to be. But we have
Hmm.
some awesome filtering processes and distilling processes and access to equipment that we can make clean water and we can make awesome beverages. I'm just saying, there's some
Hmm.
great whiskey out there. I always one of my go-to beers, you can't even buy it where in the state where I live, or I don't see it in the state where I live, is Newcastle Brown Ale. And they always said that's one of the most unhealthy beers to drink because the water is like so bad that they used to make it, the water quality that
Hmm.
it brings down everything else. And America, we can filter some water.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the truth is, I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, our water is really bad here in this town, or our county has really bad water." Go overseas.
Yeah.
Go
That's
overseas
all I
and
got.
try not to get dysentery from
Yeah.
drinking the water out of the tap. I'm not talking about like
Yeah.
scooping it out of a stream. The water that comes out of the tap will poison you, make you
Yeah,
sick.
no, we have some questionable water, but as a whole, our standard pretty high. We're pretty
Yeah.
good. Now we're kicking ass. All right, so we can move past awesome beverages. I will say Next on my list is indoor plumbing and air conditioning. Kevin, I live in North Carolina, and you probably don't know this, but North Carolina gets hot
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
stays hot and it's humid and it's, scary out there sometimes. And I get in my truck and it's whatever temperature I want it to be.
Mhm.
Dude, whatever. I want it to be 62 degrees. I can do that. I can make that dream a reality. I walk in my house. I want it to be 62 degrees. I could probably make that dream a reality. I don't go quite that cold, but I imagine if I wanted to, I could hit some buttons and it would
Get all the way down there if you want
happen.
to. Put on a
Now,
sweater. It's July. Put on a sweater. Doesn't matter. Keep it
no,
cold in here.
whatever I want to do, America. I'm
Right.
just saying,
hmm
that's pretty awesome. Being able to turn on a tap, have fresh water, and like I said, you could do a lot of these things off grid. Now, cooling your house and stuff a little bit tougher if you are working off solar or stuff like that. You need to get a little more involved. There's a little more money involved, that kind
hmm
of thing. You need a substantial system to be able to regulate your temperature off
Yeah.
solar.
It's a lot easier off grid to just go swimming. Cool down for a little
Well,
bit.
Kevin, we have
Bring your
swimming holes.
body temperature back down to normal and get back to work.
Kevin, let's get a tractor and dig a hole. You can go
All
on
right.
Amazon, buy a big tarp. We'll line that bad boy. You can buy one of those like $400 pools at Walmart. You
hmm
talk about freedom. That's freedom right there, baby.
Yep.
It used to be thousands of dollars to get a swimming pool. Not at the Megalo Mart. You just go
hmm
down there, pick one up, kicking ass. I'm just saying. All right. Now, the quality of firearms are going up, and that
hmm
adds to a lot of fun and good times. Um, it's funny, people bring me these old guns and are like, "Oh, where would I get a part for this? This is a Japanese pistol from World War II, and whatever." I go on the internet in about 5 minutes. Oh yeah, we can get the firing pin right here, reproduction. Yep, look, it's only $40, and bam, we're in. It's in
Back
the
in
mail,
business.
back in business, and that's pretty awesome to be able to have access to that. One of the things this weekend, actually over the 4th of July, somebody brought over their car and we're like, "Hey, you have the day off. Clearly, you would like to change the spark plugs in my car." And I'm like, "That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Exactly like
America,
what you want.
a
Free
chance to
time.
go out
Yeah.
under the shade tree and break out those tools and embrace manliness, right?" So I'm out there changing those spark plugs, and one of them, the threads, when I'm putting it in that 4.6 Ford, as I'm tightening them down, they like strip out a little bit, or maybe they were stripped when I touched it. Like, I don't know,
Mhm.
because I didn't even go to a wrench. I mean, we're
Right.
talking about I'm turning it with my hand and it just kept
Just
turning.
came out?
So I don't
Oh,
know
it didn't
what's
even
going
come out.
on there. I don't feel like, oh, you really cross threaded that. Like, no, not really. But
Mhm.
anyway, I look and sure enough, 5 minutes on the internet, and I'm like, oh, you know, uh, that's the spark plugs just pop out of the Ford while you're driving down the road. Now you're thinking, oh, Chuck, that sounds like a negative, not a positive. But what I would say is, this is America. And I was like, hey, I can go to O'Reilly's, I can go to AutoZone, I can go to Advance. Every one of them has the repair kit that, this car. So it took a little bit. I ended up getting it off Amazon. Turns out it's like $235 at O'Reilly's or 62 on Amazon. You know how it is. And I get it from Amazon and wait for it to come in and schedules to align, and I go out, and yesterday morning I'm drilling out the freaking cylinder, or yeah, drilling out the head, and throw in the little insert with some Loctite that's freaking awesome that we didn't used to have.
Mhm.
And but my point is, I went on YouTube. It took me about 10 minutes to figure out what the heck I need to do to find the kit that was available that I could have delivered to my house the next day if I wanted it. And I was willing to wait a little bit for pricing, whatever it'll take 5 days if you use this guy or whatever. But That's pretty freaking awesome, dude. I anything that comes up, I feel like, you have the OBD scanners for the cars. Yeah, they're complicated. They're a pain. They hide things where to get to anymore. Things aren't as easy as it is working on an old car, but they do give you a lot of awesome things that it's pretty great, dude. You can just scan stuff. You can look on YouTube. Somebody's had that, problem before, and somebody's willing to show you. And that's pretty awesome. So just saying, positive, positive, Kevin. Um, the streaming platforms, dude. I was so excited when we were able to get away from cable TV and go to no commercials.
Hmm.
And now I have very few streaming that I'm commercial free anymore. I know that window is closing. But I pay for like Discovery. I watch that commercial free. I'm pretty happy with those shows. A lot of kind of how to guys, going out there and doing their thing, girls going out there doing their thing. It's pretty awesome. There's a lot of great, stuff out there. I know Netflix, I guess I'm afraid to cancel my account because if I go away and then come back, you have to have commercials on Netflix. Is that a thing now?
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
I know
I
I'm
don't have
commercial
commercials
free
on my
now.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, I whatever, but I also pay like $20 a month for that dang
Hmm.
thing. Oh, what one of the kids watches all these Korean shows, which where are you getting freaking Korean shows here unless you're awesome, right? I
Right.
mean, we have awesome things and opportunities. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Kevin, what's on your list? What's
Yeah.
next?
Well, United States, first in flight, first to the moon, first to mass produce automobiles, internet, cell phones, all that stuff is America. All that stuff came from here. So everything that we're talking about, every place that you're getting this and listening to it, America.
America.
The United States did that. The United States pisses excellence. You know what I mean? It's just
I like it.
nonstop innovation.
Another awesome out there is think about you can modify your vehicles, right? You can do lift kits, buy tires, whatever you want, that kind of stuff. It's out there. And the thing is, people are like, oh, cheap crap from foreign countries, right? We can just buy anything. But to be honest, dude, can you go on Amazon and buy the cool aftermarket stuff for whatever you want for like next to nothing?
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, I know some things are expensive, like, ooh, those cool fender flares to make my truck. I can put bigger tires and whatever. Yeah, they might be $125. But imagine if you had to make that, custom from, nothing. Now you have for every year as an option. And obviously, there are some things that are a little bit less cool you can get for even cheaper.
Yeah.
But it's also
Yeah.
the flip side, you can make cool things and sell
Mhm.
them. Your ideas get rewarded because of the world we live in today.
Yeah. So, if you think about, the most powerful people historically, King of England, Henry VIII, he didn't have AC,
No.
no matter how rich you are, he couldn't have a cold drink during July, you know, he couldn't have surgery without anesthesia. Like you just had to lay down and let some dude cut you open,
Go for it.
you
They
know?
use leeches, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah. So the most powerful person in the world, 500 years ago did not have the quality of life that the poorest person in the United States has.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I was in a discussion um with somebody and they were like, yeah, we have so many poor people, or, something along that line of there's
Hmm.
a lot of poor out there, and, the haves and the have nots, and, the dramatic gap. And it does suck and it shouldn't be the way it is. There's clearly something out of balance for the way things are working. I appreciate that. I get it. But on the flip side, our poor, they have pretty great stuff. Now you could make arguments about homeless people that don't have anything, and there's definitely stuff there. That's another road to go down.
Hmm.
But considered poverty levels in America, you usually still have some semblance of air conditioning. You still have a TV. You still have, these are our bottom is still higher than a whole lot of other countries.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
by a long shot
If you make $30,000 or more, you're in the top 2% in the world.
in the world.
Right. That's poor in the United States. That's filthy rich in some countries.
Yeah, exactly. What is it they always used to say? Obama's brother or whatever the heck it was the big example. If he just gave him $20, you're like,
Mhm.
really, really, is this? Get out of here. That's just, why don't you give him $20 and change
Exactly.
the
There's a
whole
lot
thing?
of people that you could give $20 to that it would change their life.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
There's got to be a way. Somebody's got to come up with a system to like get money directly to these, like just bless somebody in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like you give them the $20 and somebody comes after them the next day
Yeah.
because
Well, not yeah, 90% of that money ends up going to some,
right, the
fat
wrong guy,
asshole
right,
that's
right.
running the charity, you know?
Right now he's got more bullets to come after the people or
Mhm.
whatever, or the warlord ends up with it, right?
Right.
That's always it's hard to find that balance. But that's the thing. We're always looking at better opportunities and better things. And that's I think the goal is to just keep moving forward. But I got to say, you can go online, you can learn prepper skills, you can learn how to fix cars, you can learn how to code, you can, learn how to make videos awesome for YouTube, or you could make your own TikTok channel that does whatever. And I mean, obviously, you could point out flaws in any of these things. Well, look at all the girls out there exposing themselves, or whatever it is. You could find the negative, but there is huge opportunity for people who want to take it.
Mhm.
And, opportunity where you could make your life better. Who would have even thought you'd live in a world where you could just, hey, you know what? I think I want to buy a bulletproof vest today. And, obviously there's some states that doesn't work out and whatever, but they're pretty cool stuff. Think about like trauma kits and preparedness. And hey, I could spend $30 and put together a pretty cool trauma kit on Amazon,
Mhm.
of how to, do it. I think I need to do a video on that where I just like put together an awesome, how to do the cheapest trauma kit that gets you where you need to be in short order. But things like that, that's huge opportunity compared to how we were. And it's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, one of the things that one of the guys mentioned is, public lands.
Right.
The United States is fantastic with that. Public parks. There's places you can go snowmobiling, hiking, fishing, hunting. You don't have to own a massive estate to do any of these activities,
Yeah.
you know?
I gotta say, even in New York, when I lived there, you could go hunting on state land.
Mhm.
It was kind of sketchy. It was my dream to get away from hunting on state land, but
Right,
you could
right.
do it,
Is there
you
other
know?
people hunting on state land and you don't know what
That's
kinda,
that's always what gets me
discipline
is
they have.
I'm just afraid other people have a little bit too much freedom. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's how that goes sometimes. But
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that was a, EMT, and he was
mhm.
telling me that he got a call up in the mountains. They had to go up and help some guy because he got shot in the ass while he was taking a dump, and
Who hasn't
they
seen
said
that
he
play
was
out?
using the toilet paper, and somebody thought it was the whitetail of a white-tailed deer. I don't know who's hunting for white-tailed deer. I was like, "Oh, there's a butt. Let me put a bullet in it."
Yeah. That's a good enough shot, Kevin. If you
Mhm.
haven't seen anything all day, you're like, whatever. I see
Right.
white. I'm going for it. That's
Uh-huh.
awesome. No, I mean it's not awesome for that guy. I'm just saying that's one of those stories where you're like, oh, I get it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I gotta say that's why I'm always afraid of turkey hunting because turkeys are pretty freaking smart. Like you think you have to be sneaky and quiet in the woods and not smell when you're going after deer. To try
Mhm.
and go after turkey, it's like a whole other level. You're like, everything is like, you're like Duck Dynasty guy or you're not seeing anything. You got to
Mhm.
go out there like ready to go. And the problem is when you're like that, and because they're so elusive, people take a shot at anything, and you have to be super hidden. And people are always making turkey noises and trying to look like turkeys to blend in. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, this is not good. This is, how you get shot. And I'm
No.
like, If there's not a turkey on my property, I'm just gonna let that thing go." I'm like, "Nope, that's
Mhm.
you."
On the plus side, though, where in the world are you gonna get shot and go to a doctor, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, I've seen like 5 of these. We got you covered, dude.
We got you. Gunshot
You
wound,
yeah,
nothing.
you're fine. You're
This
fine."
neighborhood, totally normal. Don't even no. You don't even need to worry about it. No, that's exactly. You just, you need to embrace the opportunities that are out there. And there's just so much goodness. And, it's so easy, especially a show where we're trying to prepare for the scary and the unpredictable. It's awesome to just sometimes take a seat back and be like, you know what? But it's pretty freaking great too. It's easy to get overwhelmed and be like, oh, there's a lot of bad. I don't know if I can stop it all, or to just focus every day on that. Some days it's cool to be like, you know what? Let's go have burgers and beer and sit in the backyard with a freaking barbecue and enjoy life, or
Mhm.
go to that awesome restaurant in town and whatever. It's okay to enjoy a little bit. There is a reason. I always worry with prepping that you have to have a life that you want to live to go to prepare for, or why. There's no, if you're going to find yourself in a desperate situation where you're working nonstop for everything, and there's no hope of it ever changing. It just is crappy. There's no that's not a win. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep pushing on. I'm saying we need to find the things that are worth fighting for. We need to find the things that make life awesome, and also appreciate a little bit. We have it pretty freaking great. I mean, Kevin, I can hell for my entire life, I can just call somebody and have them bring a pizza to my house. And that's
Mhm.
pretty awesome. And
It's pretty
now,
great.
the modern world, you could have somebody just run over to the Walmart for you and get you, "Hey, I want some hand cream. Can you go get that?" Or, "Oh, I dropped my wrench down the toilet," because who hasn't seen that play out? And somebody will go to the store, pick up a wrench, and bring it to you in most places. I mean, not
Mhm.
you live out in the woods like I do, they might not get that close. But, hey, you do you, right, Kevin?
That's right. And that's what this country's all about, man.
Exactly.
Do
Now,
your own be your own kind of weird.
so all I can say is protect your stuff and don't give them a fucking inch. That's really what it comes down to. So, with that, you guys might want to check out our website. It's survival and basic badass podcast.com. You can kind of sort out where to watch us, how to, you know, connect with us in the different ways. We also have a mailing list, email list that you can sign up there. Um, Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, that kind of stuff. We always appreciate it. Helps grow the channel. And yeah, no, you're awesome. I appreciate you sticking around, and we'll see if we can keep putting out awesome, great content for you. So, with that, I would say stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.